Hello, everybody. Brett Okamoto alongside Chael Sonnen, Gilbert Melendez, and Anthony Smith. Boys, Merab Dvalishvili said he wanted this opportunity back in September when he looked great against Corey Sandhagen. It was teed up. I think a lot of us expected him to do what Merab does, and it didn't happen tonight, Chael.
It was awesome, not just that Petr Yan won, but that he came back. Guys, nobody was asking for this fight. Nobody was trying to get Petr Yan into a rematch. Nobody was thinking that he could flip the script. He had 49 takedowns attempts put on him in their first contest. 11 of them succeeded. It was a 5-round beating against him, but he believed in himself, and he had a very long road to get here. Going through Song Dong, just by example, but everybody that he had to go through to find himself back in this position, of which he started the night as a 3 1/4 to 1 underdog. Yep. He still found a way. Some people had him all 5 rounds. I had him 4 rounds to 1. I couldn't quite hear what the officials were, but the point was it was dominant, and what a difference a day made. It was a completely different fight that you and your team had to have worked on for months.
Here are your scores from that main event. Then we'll get the thoughts of Gil and Anthony, of course. And it was pretty dominant, actually, by Petr Yan. I mean, a very competitive fight. I think we'll be talking about this already as one of the better bantamweight championship fights we've seen in history. But that doesn't change the fact that there was no controversy here to speak of. Petr Yan, as Chael mentioned, just making this thing look so completely different from the fight that we saw just a couple years back between Dvalishvili and Petr Yan. And how did he do it, Gil? I mean, This was not just a guy who came out and, hey, landed a big punch, so we got a different result. This was a completely different fight. How did he do it?
Well, first off, a great game plan for Petr Yan. He holds the center of the octagon. Not many people hold the center of the octagon. He sprawls and brawls. Most guys are elusive. They run around the perimeter to avoid the takedown. He stays there, meets it head on. Beautiful game plan, hands up, sprawling and brawling, focusing on getting the data of the sprawl. Once he got the sprawl and the timing, he started letting his hands go. And on the other side, Merab had a poor game plan. Didn't shoot much at all in the first round, at all. He started being a striker. He needed to keep pushing and pushing and pushing the takedown. 2 for 29. He was 20 short of the first fight. And Petr Yan also was switching to southpaw, had big success doing that, landing to the body, beautiful overhand hand. Perfect game plan by Yan, not a good game plan by Merab.
Yeah, I think Petr Yan knew what a lot of us as fighters and a lot of the coaches talked about, that he didn't need to change his entire game plan. He just needed to do a couple things a little bit better. I think him backing Merab up made it much harder for Merab to shoot. He shot half as much as he did in the first fight. I think the body shots made a huge difference. He attacked the body often with kicks and punches, and I think but yesterday we talked about he needed to do more in between those takedown attempts, and I think he did that tonight. He eliminated half of those and then did a lot in between. I think he did a lot of damage on the break. I thought when they separated on the fence, I thought he did a really good job of switching positions and making sure that Merab's back was to the fence the entire time. I think he made 2 or 3 really serious adjustments and then made sure that he had the gas to stick with Merab through 5 rounds. And I think those are the couple adjustments that made the biggest difference in this fight.
Chael, did we miss something here? I mean, that can happen sometimes, right? And Petr Yan, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about him in the top 5, pound for pound, and then the guy hit a down spell. The momentum was against him, but now that I think about it, we should have known that he was very capable of this, should we not?
I love the way you set that up, because I would like to ask Petr Yan, what was your game plan tonight? Now, I know what he did do. I saw him walking down. I saw him going orthodox and southpaw. I saw him trying to get takedowns himself and scrambling. But was that the plan? Was it just to keep distance? Was it to make sure that Merab was going back? Like, there might have been something very simple that Yan did. Every time there was an entry by Merab, it was the same underhook that defended it. Just for example, he was doing some very interesting elbows to the forearms of Merab. And I'm just curious what his game plan was, because of all those things that he did, he only needed to make one of them different from the first fight. And it was a very different fight, largely in the wrestling, but also in the stand-up, also the way he was switching. I'd love to hear what Yan thinks. I'd love to hear what Yan thinks he did well tonight.
I might sound like I'm about to make a bunch of excuses for Petr Yan.
Go on.
Here I am sitting here thinking, there he was, top of the world, 4th round against Aljamain Sterling, and he throws the worst knee in UFC history, and it really cost him. It changed the trajectory of his entire career. And then he gets an interim title fight. Then he loses to Aljamain Sterling in a rematch of a fight that he did technically lose, but he was dominating. And I just feel like there was this snowball effect that maybe the mentality of Petr Yan had a lot to do with what happened to him there in that 3-year span.
And by the way, it's a team effort. Like, he had to have a coach that looks at him getting older, losing his opportunity, making a little bit less money, and still believed in him. Still had him there at 6 a.m., still kept him after practice and worked on these things. I mean, the changes that he made tonight is not something where you can get a call 8 weeks ago from Dana and switch these things. You had to be looking at this. You had to be foreshadowing for years. I mean, to watch this change and watch the group effort, Brett, it's all about fighting. Fighting is not just about punching people. It's about getting up when it's hard, and that is what that young man did.
Well, actually going back and watching and studying Jan's first fight with Merab, when you actually look at it, Jan did a fantastic job. He actually did better than Corey. He did better than Usman. He did better than Sean O'Malley. And then you look at Jan's record, he kind of beat Sean O'Malley. He kind of beat Aljamain Sterling. He almost beat Aljamain twice, actually. So if you go back, his only real loss was to Merab. But if you go back, as I was doing this study, I said, my goodness, this guy did really good. Yeah, there was 11 for 49 takedowns, but he got up. No one gets up. No one is able to move around. I knew it was going to be competitive, but to Anthony Smith's point earlier, I thought Merab got better in the writing. And I thought maybe Jan was not going to be able to handle the right, but it shows that Jan improved in his takedown defense and took a lot of information from that first fight, and he used it in the second.
If we're talking about Petr Yan's mentality, I can't imagine how terrible it would have been to lose the fight the way that he did to Aljamain Sterling by disqualification, then lose the rematch, watch Aljo go on to have a pretty cool run, make a bunch of money, crazy popular, all off the back of Petr Yan. Then he has to fight Sean O'Malley, loses a controversial decision that he believes that he won, and then watch Sean O'Malley skyrocket to the top of the division, make everybody's money, and then have to watch that happen, knowing that career was built off the back of a win over him that he didn't believe was real. That has to be really, really tough. So for him to be able, I think that's the most impressive part to me. He had to flip the script and had to erase all of that and still fight his way through a murderer's row in this division, and was able to do it and come back at this point in his career and realize the title for a second time. That's so hard to do, and that's probably the most impressive part to me.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's wild to look at the ebbs and flows of Petr Yan's career. As we welcome in Jon Anik, of course, from the commentary booth, running up to the set to join us in this discussion on the main event. And we're talking Petr Yan, of course, Jon Anik, and we were just kind of talking about how the guy just went through a really hard time, even just mentally. When you think about some of the losses that he had, split decision, he loses the belt in the manner in which he did. And now this kind of felt like the real Petr Yan had returned from the 2020 days.
Yeah, I think you put it well. It's the best performance of his career. And when you think about the place that he must have been in, walking out of the Virgin in March of 2023, after those 25 minutes with Merab Dvalishvili, as elite an athlete as he was, you got to think, man, I got a lot of work to do, and he's done all of that work. And I remember being at the press conference. I said this on pay-per-view on Thursday. I'm looking to my left at Petr Yan. I'm thinking, he's about to cut weight. He looks enormous.
Yep.
And he added muscle mass. The conditioning was there. He fought a masterclass tonight.
And on the flip side, John, this was your fourth look at Merab in a 12-month span.
Yeah.
What did you see out of him, I guess? Anthony had mentioned that he maybe have lacked a little bit of oomph, and that was maybe because of the busy schedule. Is that something that you saw down there sitting so close?
Yeah, I think that's fair, right? I mean, just because you're fighting in the gym every day, and as he's walking out, John Wood saying we do this every day. Yeah, but you don't cut weight every day, and you can't cheat this sport. And I'm not suggestive that he did that, but there's a reason why nobody has even tried to do this before, and you got to be so perfect in the sport, and tonight he just ran into the better man.
And let's not forget about the 4 sparring matches that he did at Syndicate MMA prior to each and every one of these title defenses. So very, very busy for Merab Dvalishvili. So he loses the championship. We got a new name next to that C right there, 20-5 Petr Yan, and 2026 he'll be looking for his first title defense. We know that Umar Nurmagomedov is already booked against the former flyweight champion Davison Figueiredo. So, Chael, I will go to you first. Which of these names up there looks nice for you in terms of Petr Yan's first title defense?
Merab Dvalishvili, he should be getting a rematch, quite frankly. He should be able, and it's a true trilogy, right? I mean, they've gone both ways, and I'm a little bit confused. I'm still not sure as to why Jan won tonight. Was it the wrestling offense? Was it the wrestling defense? Was it the way he stalked him and changing his stance? I think that Merab now gets to be afforded the same benefit to try to learn. It's one of these things where even though you're both in a fight, it's really just the loser that learns. It seems like
Yeah.
it just from fighters, if it goes your way, you and your coaches never talk about it again. It's one of those things, you go back, you look, and I do think that there was adjustments that Merab could perhaps make in a trilogy.
Yeah, I do think you're right, though, and Daniel Cormier tried to provide some balance on the broadcast when it came to just how close this fight was. You know, Umar Nurmagomedov fought Merab Dvalishvili pretty closely, not as closely as it was tonight, but I gave Petr Yan the last 4 rounds, and it's going to be fascinating to see them engage for a third time. If I am to lean into Dana White and Merab and their conversation after the fact, Merab's getting the crack next.
Yeah, I like Merab for the rematch as well, but I also think it makes the weight class a lot more interesting. They took out the wrestler, right? Everyone's so happy in the division. Oh, man, this is the guy. We can't beat this guy. But everyone believes maybe they can beat Petr Yan because they have the striking battle with him. So it becomes a lot more interesting. But I think Merab does get the rematch. I don't think he gets it done, though. We'll see.
I definitely agree that Merab probably should get the shot, but since I'm going to add another name just because we're all on the same page. I think Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley in a rematch would be a lot of fun, and it seems to me like Petr Yan is the type of guy that would want to go back and make that right. It was controversial. I actually did agree with the decision. I thought Sean O'Malley won.
Yeah.
But Petr Yan seems like a guy that would want to go back and make that right. Maybe Merab does take a little bit of a break. If Sean O'Malley can get through Song Yadong, which is a big ask at this point, I think, in his career. But if he does do it, I think that would be something that would be fun.